Hello and welcome to The Studio Demands It, an exercise in creative thinking where we will conceptualize, pitch, and craft a film or series based on the demands or stipulations from one of you listeners acting as a hypothetical Hollywood overlord.
Overlord!
There we go. That was like a balloon. Like,
Yeah. Yep.
As professional screenwriters ourselves and massive cinephiles, we talk movies all the time.
All the time.
And we'd like to believe that we can meet any demand thrown at us. We will be your screenwriters for this episode. I am TC DeWitt, and joining me, as always, is Jim Home Row Brzezek.
Home row.
Home Row. Did you
just looked down.
Yeah, I looked
You
at
just
my...
looked down at your keyboard.
I'm just saying things I'm seeing right now. Jim Gray Blanket Brzezek. Jim Closet Door Brzezek.
Is that my actual middle name, or are you just saying things you see?
It's your real middle name. I have the birth certificate right here. Home Row. Have we talked about this before? Did you take typing at all?
We did not talk about that. I didn't take a typing class.
Yeah.
But I did take a computers class where we learned a bit of typing
Mm-hmm.
while taking while learning about computers and stuff.
Yeah.
But I didn't actually learn how to like it was mostly hunting and pecking that
Right.
I did through like all of high school. And when I got to college and we had a computer lab, I decided to teach it was my first exposure to the internet and chat rooms. And I was going to go find out about this brave new world. And
You fool!
I taught because the chat rooms at that time, they moved very fast. So you had to get your comment in real quick if it was going to be relevant, at least the ones I was on. So I used it as an opportunity to teach myself how to type quickly.
There you go. The reason I brought this up is I was writing today, and a fellow writer observed me and was amazed by how quickly I could type with just 3 fingers.
Mm-hmm.
So I write like a T-Rex.
Yeah.
Because I never took typing. I never learned home row. I know what home row is, but I never learned that. So I write with my pointer, my middle fingers, and my thumbs.
You mean you refused?
I refused. I said no.
Because clearly, if you know what it is, you knew what it was, and you chose to not use it.
I've come too far. I already know how to do this. I can't change now. It's like learning new math. Do you want to learn new math, Jim?
I don't. Math is math. There is no.
They changed it.
How's it different?
There's the whole thing where you add up, like you have to do like charts to determine like there's like squares, and you take like a 27 and you make a 20 and you make a 7 in one chart, 2 charts over here, and then you take like you're adding it to 105, so you make a 100 chart, a 5 chart, and then you have to like put it all. It's insane. Just do math. I'm not making this up.
No, I believe you. It really sounds the little I've looked into what that is it's just a different way of mentally processing the math.
But if you don't do it that way, you get marked down.
Ultimately that's the problem. I had to learn multiplication tables, and mostly through memorization. That's all they cared about. But in that time, I've developed all kinds of little tricks and like people are like, oh, but I can't do math because of this, and I hate them for having made me just memorize things without learning the tricks. And teach yourself some dang tricks.
Teach yourself some dang tricks.
Sometimes tricks aren't going to work, so you got to find the ones that are like just 5 plus 7 is 12. Why do I know that? Because I had to memorize the chart. I don't have a trick for that one.
You just memorize.
That's just what that is.
How did you learn how to speak? Memorization.
When you just said 105 plus 27,
yeah,
I started doing it in my head. I start with 5 and 7 is 12. Okay, so now
carry the 1.
12 and 20 is 32, and plus that 100 that's hanging out.
Good job.
So it's 132.
You mathed it.
Yeah.
You didn't show your work.
The thing is,
you didn't show your work.
I did.
No,
I actually
you didn't. Failed. I'm marking you down.
Audibly, I showed you my work.
I didn't see it. You didn't do the charts.
You heard it though.
It wasn't the right way. I heard it the wrong way.
I audibly made charts.
You didn't. I didn't. You have to show your work, Jim. And talking is not showing.
I thought you were going to say that new math is the thing where you have to like, oh, it's hash marks, and then you make the hash marks like this, and
That's a
they
different
get
math.
grouped like this, and like that one to me actually seems more oh, it's something like your ones place are like vertical lines and your tens place are horizontal lines, and then
No, I'm
you
glad.
you count the vertices or something.
I'm glad
Or I think that maybe that's for multiple. I don't know. It's something
I'm
like
a
that.
word guy, Jim. Numbers elude me. Unless
Numbers are
I'm
easy.
No, I write them. I can write the words that are numbers. I can type
I
like
mean,
65 to
word
70 words a minute. Like I can
words are
fly.
easy too.
Yeah. Anyway, there we go.
They're all. It's everything's easy.
Everything's easy.
Everything's easy. Just do it.
Do you think people are developing more carpal tunnel now because of texting?
No,
I miss the clicks of the buttons. Now it's just a flat screen. Back in my day, cell phones, click, click, click.
I don't. I don't miss the clicks.
Well, let's travel to the future, Jim. What do you say?
No.
Don't no. Yes, and.
Oh, yes, and.
And speaking of yes and, Jim, our amazing listeners have given us demands from studios literally all over the world. What just happened? And you listening now to us talking about math and typing, you too can send us any demand you'd like, and we will have to meet them right here on the spot. And when we reach the end of the episode, if we've done our job right, we may have pitched the very film that will be greenlit by the listeners for our finale for production. I kind of just jumped all over my script here. Thank you all for who keep sending in submitted demands.
You're falling apart right in front of us.
Oh boy, keep them coming. Anyway, today's demand, you get the idea. You send us a demand, we have to meet it.
You've listened to this many episodes. You know what we're saying.
Well, if this is someone's first episode,
Oh,
they don't know what they're in what's in store for them. What's happening? This does not
They
bode
think
well.
this is what 5 years has been.
So you're telling me these guys have done nearly 100 episodes? Huh. You'd think they'd be better at this. Today's demand comes from Peanut Butter Jelly Time Studios with a new addition. Sorry, typo. That's not how you spell addition.
Peanut butter jelly time.
With a new addition to the Planet of the Apes franchise coming, it's clear that the studio demands more. More apes. More movies. What do you suppose the demands were on Rise? Okay. Well, we can talk about that. What do you suppose the demands were in Rise? Now, with those things in mind, and without erasing any of the current trilogy, our studio demands that you two pitch a film set anywhere within the current existing timeline, anywhere in the world you want, without bringing the astronauts home or going beyond the current timeline. Jim?
Well, I don't think the movie Rise, the mid-2000s dance movie, had anything to do with Planet of the Apes. I'm so funny and clever!
Write it down, folks. Okay, interesting. We can do a Apes movie, a Planet of the Apes movie, anywhere within, I'm assuming the trilogy, because we don't know what Kingdom is yet. So within the existing trilogy, place a film anywhere we want in the timeline, anywhere in the world. And also the original question in here is, what do we think the demands were for Rise of the Planet of the Apes? Not Rise, you smarty. Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Okay, well, thank you, Peanut Butter and Jelly Time Studios.
Peanut Butter Jelly Time!
We will now address this. Okay, so let's talk about the first. What do we think the demands were? Because knowing that Planet of the Apes was coming, knowing we wanted to find an Apes demand somewhere in...
Rise was the second one.
Was the first one.
I thought that was Dawn.
Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, War for the Planet of the Apes.
Okay.
Yeah. So we watched. Jim had never seen the trilogy.
Yeah.
And so we sat down and watched it to prepare us to watch Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
You know, we could have just done a little gag there and just said, "Let's go watch them," and then
we're back,
like a sound cut, and then we kind of could have come back. Oh well,
no editing in this podcast. That's one of the conventions of this podcast. If you are new here, you're getting this raw. We have to conceptualize, do all this on the spot with the mics rolling. So you'll hear us fumble a bit, but that's neither here nor there.
Not me, not ever.
Jim has never once fumbled. Oh,
it's just TC.
Just me.
Over and over again.
Over and again. So what do we assume the demands were For Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I, having now just rewatched them, just now,
Hmm.
uh, I think I don't think they had a trilogy in mind, or at least it was built in such a way where it could be the only one. Because uh,
I agree. I don't necessarily know that they even thought it was going to be a trilogy, right? Because even the original Planet of the Apes wasn't a trilogy; it was just a franchise. It was
right,
just a bunch of movies, and I think there were high hopes that it would become that. I
hmm
think that might have been the true ultimate goal.
but they were
Um,
cautious with this first one.
yeah.
Rupert Wyatt directed Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and then Matt Reeves took over for Dawn and War, and then went on to do the Batman. Um, and Rupert Wyatt didn't come back for the second one. Like it does seem to me that the demand was we have this IP. It's been languishing since 2000 with the Tim
Hmm.
Burton one. That didn't do what we wanted it to. I'm assuming everyone wants to franchise their stuff.
Yeah.
So it probably was a little caution going in and saying we demand a new Planet of the Apes that could potentially stand alone and somehow connect to the original Charlton Heston one. Because there's little Easter eggs in the background of Icarus taking off, and they
Hmm.
talk about the astronauts getting lost in a wormhole, all very small in the background. And the way
Yeah.
Rise,
It was probably hey, we think it'd be a really compelling story to see what how the planet became what it did instead of just astronaut blinks and it's changed.
mhm,
What happened? What did that? Right? It would essentially be like making a prequel to 28 Days Later to see those 28 days, which I'm kind of surprised no one has ever done.
the 28 hours before the 28
Something
days
like
before,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a demand 28
28
days
hours.
earlier. Well, I mean, we
Tw-
see how the monkey virus is released in that original.
sure, but
Yeah.
but like getting to see the stories that they tell about the guy at King's Cross
Mhm.
standing on the kiosk as he watches the plague go across the crowd.
Yeah.
Like that guy did a really good job with that monologue, but in a movie they're telling, they're not showing.
Mm-hmm.
Um
Well, to
and so coming back to this isn't a 28 days
no.
later
Coming
episode.
back to
Uh,
apes,
uh,
they did show us in the original franchise how we got here.
did the
Yeah,
oh you
yeah.
keep telling
I
me
I keep
uh,
giving you the
uh
whole spiel.
you do.
Yeah, Escape from the Planet of the Apes. They travel back in time. Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. Caesar has grown. Roddy McDowell plays his own kid because he
Hmm.
played Cornelius, and then Battle for the Planet of the Apes was like Rise, Dawn, and War are soft remakes of three of the previous ones.
Hmm.
The demand and the smartest thing they did with this new iteration
Hmm.
was they didn't start in the same spot because
Sure.
it's spoiled. Everyone knows Planet of the Apes' big twist,
And I think that was probably a part of the demand as well, is don't just remake Planet of the Apes
which is what Tim Burton tried to
because
do.
because we had that twice.
Yes,
We had the original, wildly successful.
right,
We had it again with somebody who should have been able to bring it home with his unique style, and it flopped.
right.
Uh, so if you do it again, it will only be compared to those two,
Right.
and you can't like basically you're the two ends of the spectrum have been covered.
So get in the middle there.
So if you just remake it, you're the third, right? You can't hit the home run or strike out. That's sort of the worst thing, is you're just mediocre,
Well,
which isn't truly fair or true because with new technology
mhm.
and all that. But I think that's ultimately why they didn't want to just do a Planet of the Apes again, because we've already known that story for decades and we've seen it recently not well.
And another bit of this demand, and I don't know if this was we can make assumptions all we want, but I don't I wonder who thought of this. Focus on the ape, not the man.
Mm,
So like humans play a critical role in this trilogy, but we are following Caesar's journey
sure.
in this current trilogy. And in the original Planet of the Apes, it starts with Charlton Heston's character. It's handed off to another astronaut who looks like him because Heston
Hmm.
wanted to be killed off and all that. And it was very human centered until Escape from the Planet of the Apes, and then it became about Zira and Cornelius, and then it became about Caesar, and then it honed in on the apes. with the current trilogy or quadology or tetralogy, I believe is the correct term, with 4, it's about the apes, and then the humans play second to that, second banana to the apes. Yeah. So I don't know if that was part of the demand or not, because another thing to take into consideration is the absolute brilliance of the team and Andy Serkis that brought these apes to life. Like,
Sure.
getting Andy Serkis on board and being like, "Oh yeah, we got our actor to do this. We got the motion capture team of Weta that can make this happen." That's one of the highlights of this series.
Sure.
I endlessly impressed by the orangutan Maurice in
Yeah.
all 3 of those movies.
You pointed it out. I fully agree. I'm a convert. I've joined the cult of Maurice, because there's all kinds of scenes where like the movies are visually amazing. At one point we were comparing it, or at least I was, to Avatar.
Yes, I
And,
was.
like, people
I was
were
as
like,
well.
"Oh my god, Avatar is so amazing and beautiful. It's this realized world and it looks so real." It looks like a really well done cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
There, I said that. Come at me. Please don't.
You Avatar stands are
actually
coming
quite,
after Jim.
I'm quite fragile, and you all are like 20-foot tall blue cat people. But
The visual feast
what
of these.
yeah, what Avatar did was it took people and it inserted it into a highly detailed, realistic cartoon,
Mm-hmm.
whereas even something like Lion King, it's all CG. The live action Lion King,
The photorealistic Lion King. Yeah, yes,
is all CG, and so it can just blend in with itself.
Mm-hmm.
These do such a good job of making the ape CG blend in with real life, real sets, everything so well. It's phenomenal, and it only gets better as the movies go.
Yeah,
And even coming all the way back to Maurice, even when you can find scenes like, oh, I said Caesar doesn't quite look real there. That looks kind of inserted. That looked a little stretchy, cartoony.
Mm-hmm.
Maurice never looks fake. Never once. It's like they made CG around an orangutan.
Yeah, it's incredible.
He's the most realistic thing.
Never looked cartoonish.
Never
a once. Yeah, extraordinary. And what's wild, you talked about it improves every movie. We finished the 3rd, and then on the screen it was like, you might like this, and it brought back up Rise, and it was a screen grab of James Franco with Caesar.
Mm-hmm.
And even though that looked quite good when we watched it, coming all the way back around, it's like, oh wow, look how bad that looks compared to where we got.
Yeah,
incredible. So that obviously we're sitting here praising these movies, but I think we can assume those demands.
I think so.
Relaunch the franchise. Be careful about it. Make one that could stand alone, but lay some groundwork that could, like Koba is introduced in the second one, or the first
Koba's
one.
Introduced in the first
He's
one.
introduced in the first one and paid off in the second
And
one.
like they totally literally, he comes on the screen. You're like, that's the bad guy monkey.
Yeah.
That's the bad guy one.
Not in this one.
And he's not. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was the proper amount of him
Mm-hmm.
to be good in that movie and maybe be utilized in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And he very, very much so was. And another credit to these 3 circus films is they all stand alone.
Yeah.
Like it 100,000% works as a trilogy. It's incredible. It's one of the best sci-fi trilogies. It's one of the best trilogies. And every one is better than the one before it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not to say the one before it wasn't already great.
Yeah.
But something that not a lot of trilogies can pull off is you can just show someone one of these. You can show them the second one, and it completely works as a film.
Mm-hmm.
They exposit the appropriate amount. War opens with text that dawn, rise, dawn. Like it so deftly crafts these films that if it is your first one, it works fully. And that's amazing.
Yeah.
And now we've been asked to insert a film within this universe into this world, which is a cool demand because we have the whole of the timeline to play with at this point, from the spread of the virus at the end of the first one all the way to let's just say this up front because we forget this pretty much every time. we're gonna get a little spoilery here. If you
Yeah.
have not seen this trilogy, you
And-
just heard us praise it for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Do yourself a favor, watch those movies. They're so great.
Yeah.
So that's the spoiler warning right here. I'm going to proceed. We got everything from the virus starting
Mm-hmm.
all the way to the second version of the virus that
The
paralyzes,
mutation.
that mutates humans to lose their ability to speak, that makes them dumb.
Yeah.
So yeah, with that thrown out, does anything jump out at you?
Yeah. The story I would want to see. The very first one is Bad Ape.
Oh,
I want to see Bad Ape's story.
you
That's the first place that I go.
I didn't even think to grab another character. To grab an existing character. I didn't think of that.
Looking at the trailer for Kingdom, right, the fourth one coming out, it looks like that jumps far enough ahead. I don't know how many characters we've already met we're going to meet again, like other than Cornelius, who was a baby. I'm pretty sure, because I don't think they give us names in the trailer. I'm pretty sure the ape we follow that finds the girl I'm pretty sure that's a grown Cornelius.
Okay.
That's my guess.
That's your guess? Okay.
But clearly the ape society has developed to the point that humans are hunted, and they're wearing the burlap sacks and leather rags
and they can't
that
speak.
they were in the original Charlton Heston movie. And time has passed. So I don't know if we're going to see any of them again. I highly doubt we're going to see. Bad Ape was just such a fun additional, essentially comic relief addition. He endeared me enough. I would want to see sort of his origin. It would end up being sad.
Yeah, I can grabbing the Apes Wikipedia here. I could tell you what they have a paragraph here to describe his past, which I think is the information we get in the movie. So if you'd like, I'll just run that down for you real quick. Not much is known about Bad Ape other than he came from and lived in the Sierra Safari Zoo in Reno, Nevada, United States. Over the years, Bad Ape repeatedly heard and listened to his human handlers call him Bad Ape, and as such, over time, he began to firmly believe that Bad Ape was indeed his name. According to him, he had a child that was taken from him by humans. I forgot that detail. Sometime after the simian flu broke out, Bad Ape became infected along with the rest of his fellow apes. As a result, he and other apes evolved and became incredibly intelligent. With his newfound intelligence, Bad Ape immediately realized that the humans were quickly becoming sick while he and the other apes got smarter. However, as the humans got sicker and the apes got smarter, the humans began killing apes. Terrified, Bad Ape managed to escape the zoo and fled into the wilderness. As time passed, Bad Ape learned to speak. From remembering how he used to watch and listen to humans speak, he also adapted to wearing clothes to better help him survive the weather changes. So there you go. That's all information that comes out in the film. I thought maybe there might have been a comic that would have given us more information, but no, that's the information we get in the film. So there you go. Steve Zahn plays him extraordinarily. What a great character.
But that might not make a great whole film.
Yeah.
Right, because the story would that's a very, very loose paragraph. Lots of room to elaborate. Like, I imagine what I would do is he is a bad ape and he's called Bad Ape, but he's not malevolent. Like, it would be stuff like he would be in a zoo and he's very precocious. He gets out of his cage all the time, which is why they bad ape.
Yeah.
And he laughs, right? But that's his name. That's who he is. And he would do stuff. He would get out and he'd get mixed up in the kids coming through the zoo and causing havoc. Oh no! And the kids love it. They're all laughing as he's putting on their hats and stuff like that. And then the virus happens, and maybe we would see, like, because he's at the zoo, the population the crowds start dwindling.
Yeah.
And sort of that's the first hint. And the ones that are coming through, like, maybe one of them's sneezing or coughing or something, and that's initially what starts getting them smarter. or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Something that spreads the contagion to the zoo, and through Bad Ape's perspective, we get to see the city crumbling, and maybe there would even be, I don't know if it would be a whole plot line, but the CDC shows up at the zoo to get rid of these apes.
Mm-hmm.
But by this point, Bad Ape, the other apes, and especially Bad Ape, are smart enough to see what's happening. Like, they know they're coming to get rid of them.
Yeah.
And so Bad Ape, being the precocious ape he is, he already knew how to open the doors and be sneaky like that.
Mm-hmm.
He's even smarter, so he tries to get as many of them out as possible. Almost like a Great Escape kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
That might not be the best example. That's a much larger, longer plot of digging tunnels.
Like Toy Story 3.
There you go.
Yeah.
And along the way loses apes as they run out of the city. They have to make it out of the city.
Mm-hmm.
And every time they're spotted by humans, like, apes, there they are, right? Like it's a mob chase kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Until they can get to the forest.
He loses his child along
pretty
there.
much.
That's
the
right.
child. I forgot about. He has a child.
Yeah.
Like, in that somewhere, a kid helps them, or something like that. Although that's, loses a kid somewhere in there. Yeah.
I'm gonna.
Oh no, he had a
child.
baby gorilla,
Yes.
not that he had a human kid help. Gotcha.
He had a baby chimp.
Yeah.
I like what you're going for here, but I'm gonna pause for a second and say, exploring Bad Ape and his journey, completely valid. I think there is a fun movie to be had there. I think we could take that. I want to take it out of existing characters and existing locations.
That's why I was trying to speed through that story.
Yeah.
I really.
Well, no. Even though you sped through it, I want to take some of that. And I
Okay.
also want to pay some homage to the original franchise. In Escape from the Planet of the Apes, which is where Zira and Cornelius go back in time. They hit the same wormhole that got Charlton Heston to back in time. To the future. They go back in time. They come down. They're famous, and then the people turn on them because they're too intelligent, and they get killed in the end. And they cross paths with a circus, where there's an ape family, and Zira swaps her baby, who would ultimately become Caesar, with the baby chimp from the circus, so that when they kill her and Cornelius and the baby, Caesar survives. Or he's not named Caesar till he picks it, but he survives at the zoo. So, or not the zoo, the circus. So here's a suggestion. You just painted a pretty cool story with Bad Ape escaping the zoo and whatnot and playing with the kids and goofing off. Why not tell the story of a circus with a very an entertaining chimp, and some sort of sideshow circus, like a Barnum and Bailey's, like a really good Ringling Brothers, like a cool traveling circus. And when the simian flu starts happening, and the fear mongering starts coming up, and the apes start becoming intelligent while the humans are affected by the virus or whatnot, everything you just painted, removing Bad Ape from the equation and dropping in a new character, who protects his circus. He protects his circus family, the apes and the humans, and all the other animals as well. Ultimately doomed for failure is the tragedy here, that as much as they will try to protect the circus, and this gives us a train sequence if we want it. Like, if there's we can have an action sequence set on a train that could be near the end of the movie, where it's, attack the train, people wanting to kill all the apes, and the humans trying to protect them. And then your notion of, like, an ape mixing amongst the children and being this cheeky monkey who, like, oh, he's so funny. And it's like, oh, people are starting to get anti-ape. We can't have our
that I'd actually put that at because I would put this one could go between Rise and Dawn.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Like
as it's
Bad
spreading.
Ape. Bad Ape, I think, would go between. Actually, it'd probably also go between Rise and Dawn. I was initially thinking it'd be between Dawn and War.
Mm-hmm.
But this would be between Rise and Dawn. And okay, to go along with that, it's not just one chimp; it's 3 chimps and 2 gorillas. They're 2 separate shows. The three chimps.
Yeah.
They are see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil.
Great. Yep. I like that.
And they're almost like clowns. They like their handler, like they do this whole clown show routine,
Mm-hmm.
and they go up into the audience and he's wearing your hat, and this one steals some of your popcorn.
Oh,
and,
I speak. No, I see. That's
yeah.
their poses. They always end the
Yep.
show. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And then the 2 gorillas, a male and a female, they're a different handler in a different act, right? They're not all involved in the same act.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're just in the same circus.
Yeah.
And it's like feats of strength or whatever.
Acrobatics as well.
Yeah. But those are going to be our 5 simian characters.
Yes.
And then we'd have a smattering of human characters. I like the idea. They travel by train, and yeah, starting with the circus show, setting it just after the simian flu has been named.
Mm-hmm.
Right, this thing's spreading. It's starting to spread across the country, and probably this first show is where the first signs of like the show goes well.
Yeah.
But afterwards,
Boo.
there's not necessarily a boo, but on the way out, like maybe either our chimp, if we're following them that closely, or the handler sees the not the ringleader, maybe it is the ringleader, the ringleader, the circus president.
Sure.
The president
of circus. Yes. Top hat and all.
Like there's like 2 or 3 customers that are really upset, like they overhear them talking about, like, with this flu going around, how do we know that your monkeys don't have any of this, that you haven't infected us?
Ma'am, they're apes.
Yeah.
They're not monkeys. That's a completely
You know what I mean.
I'm sorry.
You
I'm
know
sorry.
what I
yes,
mean.
I understand. I understand.
Right, like, so you kind of have that. So like immediately the circus is moving forward with this tension,
Mm-hmm.
and like, what do we do? These apes are like, they are members of our circus family.
Yeah.
But the country, the audiences are turning on them, and we already have problems getting audiences.
And having these apes already they're intelligent enough to pull off these tricks and whatnot, but seeing the signs of the simian flu on them, where they are like cognitive speaking, like working their way towards communication and intelligence in the midst of this fear, to even have their handler be like, this isn't affecting us, this is a coastal thing, we've not been to San Francisco in a long time, and we have no plans of going to Philadelphia. We're here, come on, we're in Texas, we're in Oklahoma, we're in Wisconsin. These aren't places that are affected by this sort of thing.
Milwaukee was the second place hit.
Oh.
If you watch that map,
You're right.
It lands a little too far north to have been Chicago, next to
Lake Michigan.
Lake Michigan.
Well, yes, okay, fair enough. But wherever the case, the handler is very defensive. Like, our apes are fine; they are fine. So then there's that little bit of betrayal that'll happen when the apes are like, signing. I love how much sign language is in this series.
Yeah.
But like communicating, like, I feel different. Like, no, you don't have it. How could you have caught the simian flu? I've been defending you. This is, oh God, this is bad. I'm sorry. I don't want to.
That's not bad.
Yeah, just a little character beat there of like, I've been saying you don't have it this whole time, and you mean you do have it? Oh God.
Well, because the signs of apes getting smarter probably wouldn't be noticed until later, until the flu's already spread pretty far and wide amongst the humans.
Yeah. But we know,
because yeah,
we saw how quickly the initial the gas that like changed them overnight. As soon as they got the green in their eyes, this is Caesar's group. It was like overnight cognition. They're like, we smart ape now.
Yeah.
And the ones that were already smart developed speech faster than the others. So
Sure.
Koba could speak quicker than some of the others.
Hmm.
But that's not to say they didn't have communication skills almost immediately. Depending where between Rise and Dawn this is, the closer it is to Dawn, the closer we can get to like more angry mobs, more fear from the
It would
crowds. Yeah.
actually have if we're gonna if society is still, unless we put it far enough in that literally the circus, it's it's spending all of its money just trying to get to the next town
Mm-hmm.
because society's almost done at
Yeah.
this point. Because the thing is, the way that map moved, the way the virus spread, the way viruses spread, the way an airborne virus would spread
Mm-hmm.
is actually crazy fast.
Oh yeah. We
Um,
we all lived through this.
we sure did. Um, um, so it couldn't be too far after Rise.
Yeah. A couple years, because like
Sure.
it's a 5 year jump between Rise and Dawn, and it's a 10 year jump. No, it's a 10 year jump between Rise and Dawn, and a 5 year jump between Dawn and War. So
Okay.
there's a 10 year gap
Yeah.
between.
Then actually, what I would do is I would set that whole initial circus scene. It would be within the first couple months after the flu starts spreading. The flu's known.
Mm-hmm.
Then do a 2 year jump, like put in a 2 years later card,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
now the train's arriving to these towns that already look tired and maybe even a ghost, like just desert town kind of things.
Yeah. We're here
Um,
to bring joy and fun. The circus is in town. What
mhm.
better tradition is there than the joy of the circus? Yeah.
And we get to see how the ape shows have changed. Literally, a part of their advertising is these are clean apes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And yet there's still going to be
and
that
and
anti-sentiment. That
well,
sentiment.
and it's going to be real strong, even in that second show, right away, because people in these towns are sick and dying.
And if there's a
Um,
big flux of the simian flu amongst the people in one of the previous towns they've been in, like say not the opening one because I like that jump ahead,
mhm.
but the first town they roll into, it's a beleaguered town. They bring some entertainment. A couple of those people like, how could you bring these apes here? Those three people complaining to the ringleader, the president of the circus after it.
Mhm.
Then we go to a second town, and maybe on the way to the third, they find out there's a big outbreak in the very first town they performed in the movie, and now it's like, that's where maybe our apes are sick, maybe we are. You kind of see where I'm going with
I'm
that.
having an idea. I have a idea for a different direction,
Okay.
rather than it just be trying to outrun this sickness,
Mm-hmm.
and also because I think we want to make the apes more central, a la what this franchise
This series
has done.
is for sure. Yeah.
um we're having our characters run away from the virus, so our apes haven't been infected yet. And if we infect them really early, the idea of them getting infected in almost every way feels bad, except what if we set up a scenario and in this second town or third town, they've already reached, or they are reaching the point. The circus is done at this point.
Mm-hmm.
A mob is coming for them. They won't let the train leave. Like, they literally sabotage the engine, or they're going to, or something. Like, they won't. They know they're not going to get out of town that night because we need to give the apes a little bit of time to
Escape.
escape, to evolve and escape, to have the virus take effect. And so the handler purposely infects them. He's like, I'm not going to let them kill you, and you're not smart enough to make it on your own the way you are.
Yeah.
So I'm like, he goes and he gets someone. He finds someone sick in the town they're in,
Mm-hmm.
brings them into the circus.
Oh, I'll give you a character. I think I got an
Sure.
idea. Having someone come, like CDC type person, someone who's like, I'm here to test your apes. Because if they're no good, I'm taking them away and I'm locking up with the other apes that I got in the pound over here.
Sure.
Like, if he's
Okay.
been, so then when the handler character says, I need to help you, the only way I'm gonna do this is, so he goes to this mean CDC guy who has his like collection of apes who didn't pass the simian test or whatever, and gets the blood, like gets the infection to bring back. So a little heisty kind of moment of
Oh,
just
okay.
instead of or finding
Okay.
someone who's sick. I'm just trying to
Sure, sure,
create a little bit of a sequence.
sure.
Finding someone who's sick, that's perfectly fine. I'm offering up a suggestion that you could easily say no to if you want. Also, I have a name for our main character, but we'll get to that.
Go for it.
The king of the American clowns, Dan Rice, was one
You
of the
want
most famous circus performers of all time.
you want to name the ape Dan
Rice.
Rice?
Rice,
Rice.
just Rice.
Okay.
Yeah. Isaac Van Amberg is known as the Great Lion Tamer. I'm just looking up famous circus performers throughout history, and Rice was the first name that popped out. I was like, oh, King of the American Clowns, Rice. Like, I don't know, because Caesar's obviously very much a reference to Julius Caesar himself.
Sure.
Anyway, getting the apes infected. So let's back up here to
'Kay.
to your plot notion here. I like this, like helping them escape. Like we've
and so then I'm imagining the handler gets them infected. I don't remember how fast they got intelligent, but it at least took a long rest, right?
yes.
So overnight, the handler basically stays with them and watches them get smarter overnight, and so by morning,
They have you can see the realization when the apes wake up after being gassed and rise. They all wake up and have cognition of or they are conscious of the fact something's different, and they're able to very much organize immediately. So that intelligence bump from the gas was rather quick. We don't know how quickly the virus made them smart, so we can pick whatever time
Sure.
frame we want.
That's true. But and these would already be very highly aware and intelligent apes, having been with the circus, having been trained. Should it go so far as their handler dies, so they're on their own?
Yeah, I think so. There's so
then-
much tragedy
then-
within these.
Then actually, even more so, it's not the CDC. The town is going to do some mob justice. They don't trust the circus, and so it's hysteria, kind of thing. And so he goes and he gets.
I think what you meant to say was it's a madhouse.
I did.
Okay.
It's
a madhouse.
So that's why he goes into town and he finds someone that's sick and he says, I'll give you $100. Just come with me. Where are we going? 200 to not ask that again.
Yeah.
Takes him and like, oh, what are these apes? I just need you to cough on them. What would I do that for? 300. Fine. Just do it.
Infect them.
You sick bastard. Right. And then he stabs the handler. Takes all of them. It takes whatever he has.
Yeah.
And goes back to town.
Oh.
Leaves the circus.
Yeah.
So the handler's basically dying just outside of just outside of the reach of these apes as they're watching their caretaker die. He gets the keys out to them, and they'd probably be smart enough to unlock it. So I don't know if that'd work. If it'd be like key.
Yeah.
Lock.
Yeah, they would already be. I like the notion of at least one of them being cheeky enough to constantly escape the cage and wander around.
Sure.
Like our main character, if you like the name Rice, that's fine, or Isaac, whatever. Our main ape.
I'm not big on it. Doesn't mean it couldn't be that way.
I'll look up other famous circus apes.
I'd rather have them just be cute. Like I was hoping for something to be related to see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil.
Okay.
Yeah,
because there's at least one person out here who's listening right now who's already said Rice of the Planet of the Apes, and I set you up for that. I take full responsibility for that. Yeah, having one of them being clever enough to constantly be escaping and goofing off in the circus, and everyone's being okay with it because he's a good ape.
Yeah.
At watching their handler die, and Perhaps even like once as it's escalating towards like we need to take care of you, these people are coming after you, taking extra security to lock them up, so that like all this time I've been able to escape, thinking like the
Mm.
ape, and
Oh, but now
now
it's a
I can't.
different kind
It's
of
a
lock.
different lock. I can't get out. I just want to get to my father,
Sure.
our dad.
So then they have to escape some different way. But whatever that scene is, in the morning the mob is coming for them, and so they awake intelligent, and the five of them escape, and now they're on the run. Um, they're on the run for their lives. I don't know where to. That's what I got. Your turn.
And do you see this as sort of the halfway point in the movie, like the first like within the first hour,
Definitely within the first hour.
within
I was seeing that
45
as like
minutes?
um, maybe the first two of five acts, kind of thing.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Or something I admire, that first one, it's an hour 40, and then
Sure.
the second one gets a little longer, is about just a little over 2 hours, and the third one is like 240.
Yeah.
Every minute is earned. There's not
Sure.
one bad minute in these
Like
movies.
what we've described, I would see as like a half hour of the movie.
Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. Getting
Like
us to
like
our
10,
apes.
10 minutes for all of that opening stuff of like, this is after Rise, this
Mhm.
is where we are. A couple months, people are getting worried. Card, 2 years later, now we have about 20 minutes of this new terrible world dying and not liking apes, and the circus having trouble,
Hmm.
and all of these troubles, and now they're stuck.
Yeah.
And this guy now frees his apes.
So
Yeah.
once on the run, I like the idea of getting them on the run. Perhaps getting us back to. I have a notion of we send them on the run and then circling them back, but I also think we have names because the original apes of the proverb have names.
Oh, good.
So we could okay. So here the original monkeys are named accordingly. The original proverb: Mizaru covers his eyes, Kikazaru covers his ears, and Iwazaru covers his mouth. So we could have Misa, Kika, and Iwa.
Uh, Wait, it was Mizaru.
Miza, Mizaru covers his eyes, Kikazaru covers his
Mm-hmm.
ears, and Iwazaru covers his mouth.
Setting in America, I think they would become Missy, Kiki, and Izzy.
There you go. Yes, 100%. So
Yeah.
there's our apes. So two things to consider. I do have a notion of getting us a finale sequence, and also an antagonist ape, not just antagonistic humans. Some sort
Okay.
of conflict within the apes themselves is something that I want us to consider for this, just to create,
Okay.
just to make sure there's some good amount of drama in here, and not just. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's they are allies through and through, and the only conflict is getting the gorillas on their side. Like, oh no, we just want to kick ass. Like, no, we all need to stick together. But before we do that, why don't we take a quick break, and we'll come back and talk some more apes.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what that was, but that's the noise we're going out on. Welcome to the circus. If only there was a song for this. So you're dig. I was when I threw
Mostly.
circus out there, I didn't expect it
Yeah.
to.
Honestly, where I was first gonna go is I was gonna go to New York. I was gonna say, let's play around with what happens with the apes of New York.
Right.
That eventually become the landing area.
Right.
But I suppose this new series, even though you had told me when we started watching, they made this to fit in, but they clearly ignored all the time travel stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So at what point do they decide if they made Rise to fit in with the original series, what movies were they discounting?
Yeah, I don't know because you're right.
Um,
It needs to end up in New York if it's going to culminate in you blew it all up.
yeah,
Damn you. God damn you all to hell. Like if it's gonna they gotta get east and
yeah,
that's a long way to travel in a world without cars and planes.
it is.
So going to New York, we can circle back to that.
Okay.
If you want to talk a little bit more about our circus friends here,
Yeah.
because before our break,
So you had a couple ideas.
yeah,
Before you say them, I wanted to air my concerns.
okay,
But I don't know if I'm going to like the idea of an internal conflict with
that's
our
fine.
simians here.
I'm audibly shrugging.
Um,
Is
I'm
this
willing
to
to hear an idea. I have some names for the gorillas,
Oh, great.
Samson and Delilah.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
That's good.
Um,
Especially if the feats of strength is a part of
mhm.
it, and if Delilah does kind of funny like swoons.
Yep.
I mean, I like the fact that our Izzy, Kiki,
And Missy.
and Mizzy are the clowns,
Yep.
but giving Samson and Delilah a whole thing is that's fun. I like that.
Mhm.
Continue.
That was mostly it. I'm not convinced just on the idea of there being a villain ape, but
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
willing
I'm
to hear some ideas.
I'm not so much as villain ape. I was trying to think of some additional conflict, drama, something fun we can play with, especially including if the circus, not just the handler, but they if we know our circuses through fiction, they are a family. They stick together through
Hmm.
thick and thin. And as the family would protect the apes at first, as things are falling apart, the apes would eventually protect the humans. Um,
Sure.
so I don't think I want an ape conflict in here. But what might be interesting, if I may throw it out there, is and I am not suggesting any other intelligence here,
Okay.
but getting the other animals, like protecting the other animals and utilizing them to protect the family as well, like sicking a lion at the mob kind of thing, like that the
Sure.
apes become smart enough to control the elephants and the lions and the zebras and whatnot. That in some sort of finale here, all the animals are involved. Not intelligently. I want to be clear. I'm not
Sure.
suggesting that these animals also have human levels
Yeah.
intelligence, but just having Delilah with a whip crack and sending an elephant charging at a group of people in protecting the humans. Now, how to get there? I see you stroking your beard, so I'm going to make my other suggestion.
Okay.
They escape. We see them on the run. Our five apes
Hmm.
needing to get them back for our finale to take place in and around and the train on the move, like to have to decide to come back to protect the rest of the circus from being killed by the mob or whatnot. Whatever their journey away from the circus, if we bring them back so that the climax allows them to fight side by side with the remains of their family against the bad of the world, is my suggestion for a finale. Then we can utilize the lions and the bears and the elephants and all the other creatures in
um,
addition to the surviving humans.
variation.
Okay.
Somehow, our circus family,
Mm-hmm.
all like maybe when they first arrive to town, they're told, you can make a place out on this abandoned farm.
Mm-hmm.
That you can have that just like outside of town over there. So then we have delineated lines between our encampment and the town.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Basically, I guess what I ultimately want to build to, and we can do the lions and tigers and bears on my, um, but essentially, the sickness the sickness has finally hit the circus. They're no longer able to outrun their luck.
Mm-hmm.
They have been infected. And so now, like, getting back on the train isn't even going to be an option because most of the humans aren't going to be immune. Um, so their handlers, their people, are even dying, and so then the townsfolk who are also dying are now coming to war with them as if they caused it when it's the town that infected
Them in
them.
the first place, yeah.
But
Oh, cruel irony.
what I'm ultimately kind of wanting to build to is creating just a small spot in the middle of America where, in the end, a peace is made. Like, so literally, they go to war. There's guns. There's terrible things. Some people die. Some animals. Some maybe. We only have 5 apes, so
One of the apes, yeah.
at least one.
Probably one of the chimps, I think.
But one. In the end, maybe it's Samson that does it. Symbolically, what ends it all is he gets a gun, right, and he holds it up, and maybe he even points it at some of the townspeople, and they're terrified.
Yeah.
And he doesn't shoot. He takes it and he snaps it in half.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
throws it away. And sort of there's this unsaid known peace or like truce kind of settles over it, and the townspeople, like the main antagonist has been killed by this point, right? The one who riled them up.
Yeah. I have a notion for that as well. Yeah.
These people, they're tired and they're sick and they're afraid, and they don't want to fight. And here this ape has broken the gun and said no more, and they take that as well, and everyone kind of goes their own way, and we're left with not like a handshaking, everyone's good with each other, but
a tense
the
peace.
The farm is where the apes live.
Yeah.
And the town is where the humans go to die.
The train tracks can separate it. Like literally the
train
ending up, the train literally on the tracks separating territory. Like the final image of seeing the train there, and they're going to build their community. We will not cross the tracks. The train is the entrance to our location. We are going to stay here. I think that's fine. I do think our
and I like it in the just out in the middle of America, out in farmland, because we got a lot of imagery of apes in trees and mountains, and it's very good imagery.
Yeah.
I want to have some of apes like on a plains, on a savanna, like kind of thing, like
going through
in the tall grass,
raptor style Lost World, like
maybe yeah.
I have a notion for a main antagonist who riled everyone up.
Actually, the going through the tall grass, that's in the trailer for Kingdom, so not quite that, but I'm just imagining a like one of our apes just standing in like hip tall grass in just a golden field, and that image. I want that image.
It gives us a color palette that we haven't seen in these 3 movies yet.
Yeah,
having more golden palette, red and gold kind of would be the palette, considering the circus big top and all that. Main antagonist idea.
Red barns and such. Yeah.
A big game hunter, someone who like is real ready to claim some hides. That we have a gun wielding villain here, taking out the lion at some point, like in the midst of all this. If to be safe, we're not going to just take care of your apes. We're going to take care of all your animals. Like the threat to some of the other creatures amongst the circus, just creating a real gun happy big game hunter style and main antagonist.
Sure.
Because if you think of Rise, the main antagonists are scientists, and
it's the corporation. It's
and the jailers. And
that's right.
Guns don't play a huge factor in that one.
Yeah.
In the second one, okay, now we have gun happy. Now I shouldn't say gun happy. It's just guns become an issue.
Yeah.
Literally shooting at each other kind of stuff. And then the third one, there's a freaking Colonel Kurtz. Woody Harrelson is playing Marlon Brando's Colonel Kurtz.
Yeah.
So guns playing a factor in this as well.
But to that end, I wouldn't want to especially think if you were to watch the movies in order, I wouldn't want guns to be the centerpiece, right? Like, because they are assault weapons. They are semi-auto and automatic machine guns. They're weapons of soldiers.
Yeah.
And I'm imagining more hunting rifles and shotguns. I think you're the big game hunter guy would be the only one with sort of like even more sophisticated weaponry. And
to create someone to build shootouts. One of the greatest circus performers of all time is Annie Oakley. So having a female trick gun shooter in the circus, I'm not.
If necessary, Annie Oakley, sure. it was a circus, but it was
Buffalo Bills.
Buffalo
Yeah.
Bills circus,
Yeah.
and it was Wild West themed, and so that's why there was like sharpshooting. Maybe I'm wrong. Please correct me if I am. Sharpshooting wasn't like a regular staple of circuses, but
Yeah. I'm just trying to build out the cast here, and
sure,
having horseback
okay,
cowgirl might be some fun imagery,
sure.
as well as the tradition in this franchise to have horseback play a part
So are you
through.
saying you want an ape to ride a horse and shoot two pistols while wearing a cowboy hat?
Well, now I do, and they go meep meep.
Meep meep.
I don't know. How would an ape say yeehaw?
Yeehaw.
Meow.
They're intelligent now.
Oh, damn it, you're right. They're not talking yet. Maybe we get a no out of one of them.
Well, no, we got a no out of Caesar in the first one.
That's true.
So now we can have two syllables in this one. Yeehaw.
Yeehaw. Damn it. It was right there. That's a fun notion that this ends with an unstable peace. Instable, like instability. That it's like, listen, we'll stay over here, you stay over there. This fight's over. No one wins in the long run here.
Yeah.
And
You've killed our people. We've killed yours.
yeah,
Go die on your side of the tracks.
I like the imagery of a gun being broken and saying no. There to actually go back to a point you'd suggest that you had planted early and bringing it full circle is if our main ape, our the main chimp, Izzy, right? Well, I'll just pick one.
Sure.
If Izzy, in the end, saves a human child, in the broad
sure.
daylight of everyone, to come back to that where he's mixes it up with the kids and puts the hats on, like he's an ape, a friend to children.
To hearken to a Harambe type situation.
No, that
No?
did not end well at all. I that was a gorilla, first of all.
Sure.
But to bookend it with Izzy's ability to connect with kids, and the whole point of just to see, like, hey, we're fighting these bad guys, and oh look, a child was saved by one of our perceived enemies, and then the gun being broken, like all that kind of everything culminating into a moment like that, I think would be
Sure.
cool. Would be cool. Ape hero. Me no hurt you. Yeehaw. Yeah. Okay. Certainly more we can play with here. I'm not suggesting we just abandon this wholly, but I am interested in some New York ideas. If you do want to,
I just wanted to quickly point out, even though Rise is like we follow Caesar for most of it,
yeah,
like he does get what like 100 apes going with him.
mm-hmm.
I would just like to point out the interesting difficulty of only having 5.
It makes it a much smaller story.
Yeah.
This is not a massive, well, and that's why we have the circus family. It adds more more characters on the hero side.
Yeah.
Much more human
allies,
characters. Allies, yeah.
More allies,
yeah. Yeah, certainly only having 5 apes really minimizes this down to
that could actually be a part of the discussion of the circus once they know the town's not letting them leave and stuff, and now that they've been infected at some point, maybe the circus gets split on that because the handler who did the infecting can't answer for what he did or why he did it, and so maybe the circus is split. Some are like, no, I don't want to get sick now. I'm out. We're leaving.
Yeah. Yeah, creating some tension amongst those characters as well. And then honestly, we've now sent someone who's very clearly infected off into the world.
That's true.
If you wanted to revisit the notion that there's some sort of monkey ape CDC, like a person who's testing and taking apes away and having a small collection of these are the apes I've accumulated in the past months or whatever, I have them locked up in a mobile jail, then we have another group of apes that we can break out to join the party.
Sure.
I don't know if that's
I'm less interested. I think there's something. a little bit Western, just having it
Okay,
be
yes,
these small groups of the 5 apes, like 30 people in town left, maybe a few more than that, but yeah, just keeping it small like this.
yeah. I completely think that's a better way to go. I like that.
And if anything, the place where your franchise could go, or the direction you could go with this Hobbs and Shaw splinter of this Apes franchise,
Planet of the Apes presents.
right? Because our 5 survivors, if all of them survive, or 4, there are zoos out there. There are other apes out there.
Yeah.
There isn't any reason that several years down the road they couldn't find others that have escaped or even migrated to I'm imagining the Midwest.
Yeah, me too.
That couldn't have made it there, right? Like there's zoos out there. There's
And certainly in this, being able to insert this into the franchise, there's no reason to believe, building up this franchise even more, that Caesar's migration east might not come across our
Sure.
circus group.
Yeah. But for your CDC idea, I'm thinking that might have more of a home in whatever we're going to talk about New York here.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'm willing to. I like this. I think this is a fun. I like how it's much more intimate and small, with the still given kind of like a great central final climactic piece of the circus versus the town. You're right. It does elicit a lot of sort of cowboy and western stuff, which further means Annie Oakley should be part of this.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and I like our 3 chimp heroes, 2 gorillas. Yeah, I think there's some fun stuff here. I'd be more than happy to continue to elaborate on this, but I do think there's some fun to be had if we travel east and throw out another notion. So let's do this. Where do you imagine this one taking place time wise? Is it going to be around the similar era?
That's my first inclination, but it doesn't need to be.
Because then I would say, like, okay, we got a chance to insert 2 movies, one between Rise and Dawn, and now one between Dawn and War.
Sure, let's do that.
Nice thing about Dawn and War is that 5-year jump. Those 3 movies exclusively stay on the West Coast, and in War, that's when they discover, oh, Bad Ape is not one of ours. He was changed because of the flu. So we have that 10-year window. Sorry, that 5-year window. I'll get it right sooner or later. That 5-year window between Dawn and War to play in. And if you want to head east for that, I'm all for it. And if not, that's fine. It can go in the same spot. It could even go before the one we just came up in the West. Which, by the way, we'll have to brainstorm some titles for these things. Frontier of the Planet of the Apes?
Circus of the Planet of the Apes.
Circus of the Planet of the Apes is not... I can't take that seriously. Heartland of the... No. Yeah, Frontier is the Frontier of the Planet of the Apes. But we don't have... Let's not worry about that right
Apes in the Plains.
Apes in the Plains of the Planet of the Apes. Oh, that's a mouthful. Let's head east. Okay. What sort of notion do you have for playing out there?
Little to nothing. Just doing a this is New York.
Well, we got the zoo. We have a very famous zoo in New York City. There's a lion there, a lion, a zebra, and a giraffe, I think. And there was a few penguins that they all got shipped incorrectly, like they all got packaged up. There's a whole incident. And when they were leaving, they were sending them overseas. They crashed off the coast of Africa on the island of Madagascar.
Oh.
Yeah. They met. They had a whole thing.
I thought they were all from Madagascar, and they went to New York.
No. So Alex was just like the king of the New York Zoo, and there was a whole incident, and they got sent to Madagascar.
Oh.
Yeah. True story.
I'm nodding. I never saw Madagascar.
You know what? I know this because I've seen them all, and they're not good. They're good. Whatever. They are exactly what you think they are. They're DreamWorks. But in the second one, I think it's the second one, freaking zebra gets obsessed with the circus, and he goes, Afro circus, Afro circus, and he's got a freaking clown. It's circus zoo. Planet of the Apes. What's happening? I think I've been infected with the simian
I mean,
flu.
just tangenting. I haven't seen them, so I don't know why it didn't happen. It seemed like DreamWorks was trying to minionize the penguins
Oh yeah, for
for
sure,
a minute
for sure.
there.
They had their own movie.
Why didn't that work?
It worked to a point, but they weren't cute enough because
Okay, fair
they're
enough.
here to break out and they're not coming back.
Okay,
You understand me, Corporal? Yes, sir. Like it's very it's
okay,
more for the adults.
gotcha.
Whatever. Anyway, let's go to New York.
Yep.
Apes in New York.
Yeah, writes itself.
Okay, thank you. So that's the end of the. No. Let's say we don't have to hash out an. We can hash out as much as we want, but I think the apes getting. Let's try this. I don't know where this could be placed in the timeline, but in the midst of the simian flu, like the early stages of it, if there are zoos that are euthanizing their apes, and the New York Zoo is like, please don't kill the apes. We will take them. Like we welcome. If you don't want to kill your apes, please send them here. So
Okay.
they are become a sanctuary for apes,
Okay.
which is a mistake in the grand
Sure.
scheme of things. They're just collecting a bunch of apes that could potentially be infected, and if not, they're going to infect each other, and the simian flu will grow out of
And
it.
they probably do very quickly.
Yeah. But what do you think that is as a notion of? It would have to be
I mean,
early.
sure, good premise. I'm not sure where to go from there.
Well, once the apes have.
What what are you thinking? What's our story? Who are we following?
It's
How is not that not that any of the other movies are like that, but how is it different?
I okay. It's New York, baby. Okay, so
Like is so. So I had said the Great Escape earlier for what we were doing, and that's not what we ended up doing. What if that's what this one was? The apes are infected. They realize what's happening. No, this is too much
it's
like
Rise.
War.
Well, Rise is the whole breakout. Is the breakout.
Oh, that was actually. I guess then there's more than one
was the
breakout
jailbreak.
because there was a
Okay.
Great Escape jailbreak in War as well.
I got a notion here. Oh yeah, that's right. There was two jailbreaks.
Maybe then we just we go for the trick. We do the third.
Okay, maybe I'm not against that entirely,
Okay.
but here's a notion for you. Let's have if the notion is let's create a sanctuary for these apes. This is very early. Like this is before the one we even just pitched. So like just months after Rise.
Okay.
Okay, and the just cut to it. Someone's going to weaponize these apes for their own means. So if we think of Donkey in War, we had the couple of
Sure.
betrayers, and the military was able to utilize them as weaponized. They were their grunt soldiers. They were able to use them. So having someone in the midst of the New York setting utilize the apes as weapons to be like, this is my army. And that leader of this human leader of these apes, basically controlling them. That's your bad guy that you have to overcome. In the end, the apes realizing, hey, we're working for the bad guy here. We need to take him down. And then you have your final boss, your villain that needs to be destroyed to put an end to this. There you go. That's a right off the top of the gourd thought here. Weaponizing an army of apes, even if it's just like 12 of them. 12 angry apes.
Okay. I'm not fully convinced.
Okay.
I also I'm not sure where to go with it.
Okay. Let's set it in that 10-year jump then. 5-year jump. God damn it. Between
War, Dawn and War.
yeah, pre-war, someone has this.
Am I being too skittish in not wanting to step on the toes of these three movies because War first showed us traitor apes, Koba loyal apes going over to
the humans.
Colonel Kurtz's side. I can't remember his name.
Kurtz.
Woody Harrelson. Woody Kurtz.
Yeah. Woody
Uh,
Harrelson.
um, I don't want to do that. Even if our movie were to come out after, I don't want to do that necessarily chronologically before it.
Because you want to save the
Because
betrayal apes for war?
yeah.
Okay.
Um,
By the way,
so
Harrelson's
and
just the Colonel. He doesn't have a name.
uh, uh, that was a question. Am I being too skittish about that? Am I
Well,
am I painting myself? Am I painting us too much into a corner by not allowing some of those concepts to even chronologically come earlier?
let's. I hear it. I hear what you're suggesting, and I see the import of what you're saying. Like they haven't.
Because the other notion
Yeah.
is what the Colonel did was supposed to be abhorrent, right? He was turning these apes into slaves
Mm-hmm.
essentially, and some of them were willing because right they got to be the ones holding the whip.
Yeah.
um and that is bad,
Mm-hmm.
that right, like, and that movie shows that clearly as bad, and I know your notion was to show it as bad as well.
Yeah.
um I don't know, I think about that notion of like when prequels are made, they undermine later
Yes. Yeah.
reveals, and I'm just, I guess I'm concerned about doing something like that.
I understand. Well, let's see if I'm perfectly willing to find a completely different way to go with this. But let's stick with this idea of a human utilizing a small contingent of ape. We'll say 10 apes, a
Okay.
dozen, a dirty dozen. He's
Okay.
got. Like, he even calls it that.
Yep.
Not to go Western again, particularly because we're in.
That's a war movie.
Yeah, perfect. Because we're East Coast here. We're in New York, gangsters, what have you. Having them be not traitorous to other apes and not being enslaved by them, having this guy like they've drank the Kool-Aid. He's not mean to them. He rules them very well. Like he lords over them, and he's like cornered off a section of the city for himself, utilizing his army, his little mini group of soldiers here, and then it's now I hear the problem as I'm suggesting this because we've created these 12 like soldier apes that work for this human.
Mm-hmm.
Who are they going up against?
Humans.
Yeah, and then it becomes humans versus apes and not centralizing the apes.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this is a rabbit trail we shouldn't continue down.
Completely different idea.
Okay, throwing it out. Sorry,
It's set,
sorry, war apes.
It's set after war even.
Ooh, okay.
The apes are intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
They've created their own little communities, tribes, stuff. They no longer live in Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in fact, they're the Central Park apes that have escaped. No, oh, you didn't. You cringed at that.
Just keep going.
Either way, Manhattan, that island, they'd probably have some special name for it, right? Like all of that rocky area. No, they're smart. That city over there.
yeah.
They don't go there, right? Like it's a cursed, haunted place. Not all of the humans are dead, but all of the humans are aggressive and terrible. And our group lives on the mainland in their own little area away from New York,
Mm-hmm.
but in the shadow of it.
Mm-hmm.
And one day the humans come and take someone from either an ape or some of the children. They get an incursion. They incurred, and some are taken. And so now some of our apes have to decide, like, our community's thrown into chaos. So, like, what do we do? They were taken by those monsters.
Mm-hmm.
It's too late. They're gone. They've gone over the bridge or through the tunnel or both or whatever.
Right.
They're just gone. But our main character or our ensemble are like, no, we will venture into the terrible land to return. And I just turned it into an adventure quest.
It's a rescue mission.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's something to that, especially
no big stories. But what we
Yeah.
do find out, the reveal
Mm-hmm.
is the humans at this point, because it is set even after war, have lost their speech. Maybe not all of it, but most of it. but there are still actually maybe they're scientists. Ultimately, there are scientists that sent people to grab apes
Oh, so they
to
could
study
study them.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
And
like
whether they find out that these humans, there's an enclave of humans that have managed to keep clean air and they're always in suits, or if it's like a mad scientist who is infected but still has enough intelligence to try to devise stuff, and he's doing biopsies on these apes and things.
watching like a nightly ritual where he does a complete blood transfusion on himself, like he's constantly cleaning his system. Like I like the hyperbolic nature of whatever they have there, and
Sure.
he's this like psychopath. Like the imagery of him like tubed up, and he's like, I've actually perfected blood transfusion down to just a couple of hours. I can completely clean my system and have fresh blood within me overnight.
Where do
Like,
you get the blood?
uh, he's a bad dude.
Oh,
Ape blood.
ape blood.
He's
I in movie magic we can make that work.
he
Anyone
has.
who knows anything about blood would lambast us.
It's all O positive or O negative blood, so it's all universal donor. Okay, maybe we can't do that. He's figured out a way to transfuse clean his blood and put it back in,
Sure.
something like that. So he's like
Sure.
recycling his blood.
Yeah.
Science. We have talking apes.
Or even if he's farming humans
Yeah.
for their blood.
All the but yeah, the imagery of coming from like I think this can take place before war, because that allows us to maintain some intelligence in the humans, so that they're like it's a little more plausible, because if you said it after war, it's going to be in that era of people like getting infected and losing their voices immediately.
Dawn was with Kerry Russell,
That yes
and then war,
was with
and I'm trying to
the
remember. And that was, so it was 5 years of the apes just having the land to themselves.
Yeah.
And then all the soldiers descended on ropes through that was their first encounter with humans in years,
Mhm.
right?
Yes,
Um,
in Dawn, because that's where the 10-year gap is, where we and
5 year.
no the 5 years between Dawn and war.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Kerry Russell one is when they come across the apes and are like, oh god.
And that one was 10 years after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Math.
And so you're saying you're wanting to do this before the Colonel?
Yes. Yeah. But close to the Colonel era, because the idea of like the infection and the humans losing their cognition.
See, I was wanting to put it after
All right.
after the mutation
You
has
right
occurred.
to maintain the chronological reveal. You said it after. You're right. But I put it like very close after.
Sure.
Yeah. If not like right on top of war. You can watch war, so then the infection of humanity going dumb isn't spoiled by this movie.
Sure. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, having scientists snag some apes, drag them to a facility where we got a mad scientist
Mhm.
and our apes doing a rescue mission.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a cool. Like it
And
kind of
in seeing these humans being weird Morlocks,
yeah.
to try to maintain their lives and
Mhm.
not get infected, and
And at least as it stands right now, we're crafting another movie that has relatively small stakes as opposed to like the gigantic, like the big battle sequence that take place at the end of war.
I think the other reason. So what this would build to, I mean, like we can have big bombastic things happen, like because this is so soon. I would actually want to do a thing that somehow knocks down or blows up the Statue of Liberty to explain why.
Oh yeah,
The
Heck
head
yes.
the head is on the beach
yeah,
somewhere.
yeah.
Um,
Yes, correct. This needs to happen.
But it also like doubles down onto why that's the forbidden zone. Don't go over there, because literally for generations the apes that's where bad humans are, right?
Don't go
that's
there.
where
Yeah.
you get killed.
Yeah.
So it's not just their propaganda of we want to keep a secret. It's bad. It's bad over there.
How about this? Let's burn it down. Let's
Sure.
let's raise and salt the earth so that
Okay.
it truly does become a wasteland. And I don't want to send. I think the implication in the original Planet of the Apes is that a nuke did all that, and that's why it's a desert wasteland.
We can do that.
set off. Oof. And so is this a no-win scenario for everyone? Like the apes and humans lose
Nearly.
this?
We can have someone escape.
Yeah.
Put them in a fridge.
Classic.
We can nuke the fridge. It's all good. Um, there's no reason why our crazy CDC scientist guy wouldn't have a contingency of a nuclear device just set up as a contingency in case.
It's a good throwback to Beneath the Planet of the Apes.
Sure.
Also, actually, that makes me want to make this a little culty. Like it's a cult of science. Like the people that has under his thumb aren't military. They are.
Well, they're scientists and they're New Yorkers who've survived.
Yeah.
I'm fine with a little bit culty. I don't want to go too far. I would rather make it more think Immortan Joe from Fury Road.
Yes.
Like these people do what he says. Like some of them they drink the Kool-Aid and they wear the silver paint or the white paint and they spray their mouth silver because they're the ones they get the most from this. But most of the people like the peons do the bidding because they are given the scraps to survive.
Yeah. And that does give us some sympathetic human characters that might be able to ally themselves with our ape.
I
merry
don't want
band of apes.
Yeah, I don't necessarily want to go too far because we're gonna blow them up.
Right. Yeah. Even just briefly having. I'll look. I'll look away.
To suggest that they're not all evil. Not they haven't gone full Morlock.
Yeah. That's a rescue mission. That's fun. And you blew it up, you maniacs. Yeah, I do wonder if they are going to do any imagery like that with. I don't think Kingdom is getting there yet, but they are clearly going to continue this franchise as long as they can, and they will get to the Icarus returning and getting our astronauts on this planet.
Maybe.
I foresee that Statue of Liberty imagery happening again, without it being a reveal.
We'll see. It depends on what Kingdom does. If it keeps it on the West Coast, I don't know that we will.
Yeah. It's just such an iconic image.
Like the thing is, or that'll end up being the twist. They'll do whatever they need to do to this feel. I don't see them doing this either, but because it's a terrible twist. But making the whole audience think, oh, they're on the West Coast. That's where all these apes are. That's the only place these apes are is the West Coast. And then it's revealed that it was New York. Oh, none of these apes are the ones we saw from the other. Like, that's actually a really lame reveal.
Yeah. Just like letting it be. You open the movie with that
Honestly,
image.
you probably should.
Let's just knock this out. Not in ours. I don't think we'd have it in ours. Were we given a third or wherever this franchise goes?
We're talking about the supposition of actually this franchise getting to, like you said, the Icarus coming back to Earth.
Yeah.
Don't save the twist of Charlton Heston seeing that it's Earth all along at the end. Just do it right away.
Right at the beginning.
He knows he's on Earth. Yeah. There is no wormhole. We're not going to do wormhole stuff. He went to space. They made cryosleep back in 2015. Why not? Something like that.
They did in Rise. They did say they disappeared under mysterious circumstances. So there can be time dilation. So when Taylor, I believe, is Charlton Heston's name when he shows up. It's like but start opening the movie with the imagery just right away. Just there. Yeah. But that's us.
That's our opinion about what they should do.
Yeah.
If and when they do Planet of the Apes.
Yeah. But here we go. So
I know how you do that trailer too.
Oh yeah.
You put Rise of the Planet of the Apes, right? And as it slowly zooms in, slowly pushes in, the screen slowly pushes in on the title, and Rise fades, goes to Dawn, goes to War, goes to Kingdom, and then it just fades away. So that's all that's left.
It just Planet of the Apes. Yeah, that's not bad.
That's how you do that. Period.
You call it the Planet of the Apes. That's how we do it now.
We put the.
We just put the. Okay.
It worked for Suicide Squad.
It worked for the Fantastic Four.
It'll work for us.
It'll work for us. Okay, but I think we could wrap it up here.
Yeah.
I like
One and a half movies here. We made two. We talked through.
yeah, we beat out more of
Well, really,
our front circus story.
the circus story is the full meaty one we did, and then we actually did two mini ones.
Oh right, because Bad Ape being
Yeah.
it's like a little that'd make
Sketched that one out.
that'd make a good like short film.
No, you could. I think you could do a feature's only an hour and a half. You could do a full. You could do that.
All right, thinner movies have survived.
Yeah.
But I do think that's going to do it for this episode. Someone's beeping at us. There we go. Car. Why do people do that? Yeah, cell phones exist. Don't park in front of an apartment and start hammering on the horn to get someone to come down.
That might have been an alarm that was.
No, this happens all the time in this neighborhood. There's
Oh,
some jagoff who shows up and is like, "I'm here to hang out. Come down here." Beep beep. Like it's so rude. Sorry, apes take over sooner. That's all I'm saying. PB&J, Peanut Butter and Jelly Time Studios. How did we do? What did we miss? What did we like? Did we meet or exceed your demand? That is the hope here. But we'd love to know if we missed a detail, if there's something more we could elaborate on. If you guys have any ideas, please let us know. But that is we're gonna end the episode here. Hit us up if you like this, if you disagree, anything. You can message us directly at studiodemandsit.com or on Instagram at studiodemandsit. If you haven't already, you can subscribe to us on wherever you're listening to your podcast just now. Just click subscribe. Come on. Seriously, how many subscriptions do you have to podcasts that you don't even listen to? Come on. I know we all do. We collect. I'm going to listen to that eventually. You are so far behind on Smartless. You can subscribe to us too. It's fine. If you're not already, yes. If you feel like giving us a quick little review now that I've harassed you, you can do that real easily in-app as well. And those reviews get us out into the algorithm. You can find us on YouTube and TikTok, where we post video content not included here on the show, including commentary tracks for films and the highlights of those. Jim, you've got some.
We got a subreddit.
You got some stuff out
Studio
there.
Demands It. r/Studio Demands It. Come join us in the conversations on Reddit. You can also find us on Discord on our main website, studiodemandsit.com. There's a link to the Discord. You can join that. Come join us in some conversation there.
And that Reddit actually elicited something fun for us recently. If you want to head over to Patreon, which we do have for a couple bucks a month, you can get episodes early. You can get extended double-length episodes with extra conversation. You can get movie commentary tracks. And, as I just said, Reddit elicited a conversation with us that we put up on Patreon for free. So
the Marvel 88.
Marvel 88. So one of our listeners suggested what he would do with Marvel if it had come 20 years earlier, and Jim and I could not help ourselves. We ended up doing a full mini episode, an hour-long conversation of how we would handle Phase 1, which was a hell of a lot of fun. And actually, thank you to those who've listened, newly subscribed, and had further conversations to add to it. Like that, if you want to listen to some free content over at Patreon, you can head over there. Or if you want to point someone at it to be like, hey, listen to these guys, they're fun. You could also just show them one of our mainline episodes.
It's true.
But there you go. So yeah, Patreon. Woo! Yes, yeah, you can subscribe for free. It's fun. Massive thank you to 6.5 Media for everything they do for us. Please check out other 6.5 shows, including Another Zelda Podcast, which is the godfather, the granddaddy of all 6.5 Media shows. But Jim, that's it. That does it for these apes. We need to brainstorm some names for this. We don't have to do that right now because we're going to wrap it up. But we'll go into bonus territory.
Okay.
And maybe we can hash out some ideas. But thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll be back again soon to challenge ourselves to meet one of your demands and maybe even improve the world of cinema. Who knows? I'm TC.
I know.
Oh, you know.
We're going to do it.
Okay. I'm TC.
I'm Jim.
And this is the end. The end. God damn you. God damn you all.
I love you, Dr. Zayas.